What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Pro football focus time. We're starting with the offense. Definitely the side of the ball that had some issues yesterday. So, going to be interesting to see what they think. Going to be interesting to see what they say. You guys know that when it comes to pro football focus, we're a big fan of the stats, the objective metrics, but the grading, less clear how we feel from day to day, I would say. And we're going to have to play it. Gonna have to kind of play it piece by piece. Okay, so offensively, let's just start with the top line here. We did actually have quite a few players get graded well, including two offensive linemen. So I don't think the offensive line played very well yesterday, but PFF did really like the play of Abe Lucas, our highest graded offensive player, and Anthony Bradford. So again, there's a lot of stuff that is pointing to Anthony Bradford being the guy for the rest of the year. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. So obviously Bradford did have at least one major low light yesterday that people got on, but there's and look, pro football focus grades, hit or miss. I'm going to continue to reiterate that. This doesn't mean he was good, but honestly, other than that one play, I didn't pinpoint Bradford as being like the problem for yesterday's game. I think in general the offensive line didn't run block super great, but on a lot of these plays, you will see a lot of players doing their job, and then one guy doesn't do their job and it ruins the play. So sometimes it's not everybody, it's one guy making everybody else look bad. Rashid Shaheed, really well graded here, even with his miserable run blocking grade. 74.8, really integrating himself into this offense well. Love to see it. Eric Saubert, fresh off that 1-year extension, with a positive grade as well. And JSN completes the top 5. Not his best graded game, but an effective game. Remember, he did have that really bad drop, which probably dragged his grade down significantly. If he catches that pass, we're talking probably 140 yards. We're talking 8 catches, and it would have been very different. So, I mean, it was a bad drop, but JSN deserves to drop a pass every now and then right now because he's played so well this season. So that's your top. Charles Cross, pretty decent grade. Did have the penalty that hurt him significantly, but he played well. Cooper Kupp, also pretty good grade. Effective, doing his thing, no beef. Sam Darnold, kind of just hanging out in the middle here. They gave him a good grade for passing, but that fumble really hurt him. That fumble dragged him down. And we'll look at some other stuff with Darnold later. But there are some issues here that are kind of forcing him into more of a mediocre place rather than a place of excellence like he was earlier in the year. Jalen Sundell, decent grade. Great to see in his first game back, so it looks like we're good there. Velez Jones, 1 play. Josh Jones, 4 plays, so nothing really to say there. Zach Charbonnet, 33 snaps, gets a slightly below replacement level grade, mostly because he can't pass block. Like, the third down, the stuff he's doing on passing downs, on third downs and stuff is brutal. Like, I'm sorry, but that is not the Zach Charbonnet experience we've signed up for. AJ Barner had 2 penalties in this game, so even though he did do some things well, you're just not going to get graded that well with 2 penalties, especially because 1 penalty took away his own 15-yard catch. Nick Collar, slightly below average, only 10 snaps though. Gray Zabel, back to kind of getting disrespected by PFF for one reason or another. Again, I don't totally agree with it. I don't think it's completely out of left field, but it's a little bit It's a little bit unreasonable, I think. Jake Bobo, 4 snaps. K9, worst game in a while. His pass protection, no better. In fact, much worse. So we have a big problem there. And he did not really make any plays with the ball in his hands. So what are you going to say? Cody White, whatever. Brady Russell, really bad, mostly because of the drop, but they didn't like anything he did. So, yeah, I don't think Brady Russell being part of the offense is the solution to our running woes. And I imagine that as much as Oots has been mediocre this year, that is still better than anything else we can do. Or just not have a fullback. I know that's not the Kubiak way, but maybe. All right, drilling down a little bit beyond just all that, the passing grade page, taking a look at that. Here's your problem with Sam Darnold. No big-time throws. Think about all the big-time throws Sam Darnold had early in the year, and it's night and day. His ADOT, his average depth of target, is down a couple of yards as well. It's really cramping our style because, to my eye, teams are blitzing, teams are playing their guys up in the box, and they're daring Sam Darnold to beat them down the field, and it's not happening anymore. Earlier in the season, it was constantly, and right now, there's just a complete lack of confidence in trying to fling it around, and maybe part of it is because we're playing teams that are so bad offensively, we know we can win without it. But the last few weeks, this has just gotten so unbelievably tight. One turnover-worthy play, which I assume was the fumble. I don't know what else it would be. And that's about it there. Looking at the passing chart, it's not what it used to be, man. One deep shot completion, the 27-yarder. And intermediate stuff, I mean, it's good, but you're not super excited about it anymore. It's not stellar. The short stuff, there's a ton of short stuff, which I have no problem with, but even that, not really efficient. 53 yards on 11 throws, that's not that good. 6 targets, 35 yards, not very good. I mean, it's just, everything is kind of getting cramped, and we got to get back to, either we got to start busting the big play again like we did earlier this year, or we got to find a way to run the ball effectively. Like one or the other. I talked about how adding Shaheed would probably open up the run game, and on some level it has, and it still has, but yesterday was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They took away everything for our offense for a lot of that game, it felt like. Receiving grade page, again, the only thing I really care about is this, and this is interesting, right? So, Cooper Kupp gets about half his snaps in the slot, but this week, for some reason, I'd be interested to know exactly what the thought process was here. JSN, 14 slot snaps. That is the most he's had all season, I believe. Way more than Shaheed, way more than Barner or anybody else. So we actually gave JSN a chance to play out of the slot this week. I find this interesting because the Colts did not have their starting corners. You would think this would be a week where you leave JSN outside knowing that he can just win over and over and over again, but no. They actually were just like, let's mix it up a little bit, and I mean, it worked. He played good. He plays good almost every week, though, so it's not like that's some shocking revelation. So, definitely interesting. And, yeah, that's the only thing I really want to look at here. I only really like one thing here, which is just seeing who JSN is getting matched up against when he's targeted. And you can see, yeah, he's getting targeted against corners, also safeties, also linebackers. And this is where I think you really get what you're looking for with JSN, mashing him up all over the field. And you can see that almost 100, well, actually over 100 yards were tallied against safeties and linebackers and only 7 yards against corners. So that's what it's all about, man. Keep the defense unable to get their best men on JSN. Rushing direction, this is kind of interesting here. So you've got mostly no success on the outside, right? You've got the jet sweep, no. Off left end, no. Right end, no. Right guard, no. But if you actually take a look at it here, left tackle, like the gap between tight end and left tackle, good. The gap between left tackle, left guard, good. Only 1 carry. Middle left, really good. Middle right, really good. We just didn't do it that much. So looking at it, and I'm not saying this necessarily would have fixed everything, but man, we just really wanted to hammer the ball kind of on the outsides to no avail. And you look at the numbers, you kind of scratch your head and go, well, why didn't we stick to what was actually kind of sort of working? Not at a stellar level, but at a pretty solid level, I would say. I don't know. I mean, I know this Kubiak offense wants to run the ball to the outside, but this is kind of, I don't know, this is a little bit, you got to ride what works. Maybe this offensive line just isn't equipped to do outside running at this moment. They can't sustain blocks. Pass blocking. Okay, so some good news here. Both tackles really well graded. Charles Cross allowed 1 quarterback hit, but clean otherwise. Lucas clean. Jalen Sundell, who is mostly here to pass block, very good. 1 QB hurry allowed. Anthony Bradford graded well. 1 quarterback hurry allowed. So that's most of your offensive line. AJ Barner, not that he pass blocks very much, but well graded. And these other guys, whatever, 1 or 2 reps doesn't really mean anything. So the problems we had in pass protection yesterday, according to PFF, basically all stemmed from Gray's-Able and the backs. So Gray's-Able, 4 pressures allowed. Remember, the Colts did not even have DeForest Buckner. So that's really bad. And maybe you can kind of start to understand why his grade was so low. Like, you can't give up 4 pressures in a game against a backup defensive tackle and expect to be considered good. And then you had Brady Russell, who was graded really poorly, but it's only 3 reps. K9, 1 rep that was so bad, he got a 12. And no, 12 is not a good thing in this context. It's not out of 15. 1 QB hit allowed, so bad. Zach Charbonnet allows the sack. That's about as bad as it gets. I mean, we need to find a solution in the backfield. Charbonnet and Walker, both liabilities as pass blockers. That's the way it seems to be to me. And that's going to be something that needs to be addressed very badly. So I don't know how successful of a postseason run we can have if neither of our running backs know how to block. All right, so that's the pass protection. Overall, it's not bad, though. Only 9 total pressures allowed by offensive linemen or tight ends or backs or fullback, I guess. That's fine. Run blocking here. More zone than gap again, kind of going back to the way it was typically after a little bit of a diversion last week. But grade-wise, again, I don't really look at this stuff all that much, but you've got 2 players that were graded well run blocking. Lucas and Bradford, that's it. We got some guys that are graded pretty darn poorly here, although the main big culprit here is Shaheed, and, I mean, he's a wide receiver speedster. How much is he really going to run block anyway? So, yeah, I just like to see zone versus gap splits, and you can see that it's pretty much 2-to-1 in favor of zone. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the offense. If you are watching this video shortly after its upload, I am probably still streaming my PC build, so come check that out. I'll see you guys soon. Go Hawks. We're going to probably do the defense later, maybe do something else, I don't know, but hope to see you guys there. Go Hawks.